I'm your host, Sean MacKenzie, and over the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to take you on a journey to discover Microsoft Access and why it is such a flashpoint. As I'm creating this video, HG Insights was tracking over 150,000 companies in the US alone using Microsoft Access as part of their operations. And Enlift was showing Microsoft Access as taking an incredible 11% of market share among all relational database management systems among companies that it tracked, including server-based systems. MySQL and SQL Server were the next largest at around 21% share each, but their participation hides the real story. See, those two systems, as well as others like Oracle, DB2, and Postgres, are all server-based systems and do not offer the same ubiquitous nature and portable features that Microsoft Access does. Being part of Microsoft Office makes it ubiquitous, and being a file database makes it portable while retaining the integrity of data in the file. Give it to anybody and they can use it, especially among data-focused people like data analysts, scientists, and engineers. SQLite is a little file database that I also like a lot, and it scored in around 1% for the companies that were tracked by Enlift. So that can give us a bit of an idea of scale. FileMaker came in at 2%. There are some other small ones like SQLCE that don't really register, so for argument's sake I'm going to give all those other ones another 1%. Removing server databases from our analysis gives us a real look at the niche where Microsoft Access dominates. This is where the story is. When you look only at file databases, Access shows a whopping 73% market share. My own experience with dozens of companies across many industries like aerospace, health, finance, and logistics makes me think that the number is even higher. There is no replacement for structured, portable desktop data. Everyone uses it, so if you want to be serious about data, you need this tool in your toolbox, period. I'm having interesting reactions to my video on YouTube called VBA Programmer, World's #1 Dreaded Programming Language, that I posted on July 3rd, 2020. I didn't expect to get much reaction from this video since I was talking about the, quote, most dreaded, end quote, language according to a recent Stack Overflow ranking. Most of the comments were indeed positive, kind of like the, wow, I really enjoyed this language and this helped me to understand kind of stuff. However, a few of the people commenting were demonstrating some anger toward the issue, which I believe is completely valid. Why anger? You see, the subject of Microsoft Office and writing applications in VBA generates anger on two sides in the tech world. On one side are regular staff and developers who created a possibly amateur application that filled a business need. On the opposite side are developers who learn traditional languages, who work in IT departments that have to support all applications, including eventually these VBA applications. This includes Microsoft Access applications or Microsoft Excel applications that have a whole bunch of Visual Basic for Applications code in them. This interesting phenomena has been happening in businesses all over the world for almost 3 decades, and the amount of innovation generated from it has been incredible. When Microsoft put together the Office package way back in the early 90s, they probably didn't know just how much they would empower people to take control of their data. With limited training, motivated people could suddenly take their ideas about data capture and analysis and try to make it happen in Excel files and Access databases. Many of these little projects turned into failures, while others became great successes and were expanded upon or even rewritten into other languages or technologies so that they could scale up. Microsoft encouraged people to create their own automation in Excel macros and MS Access databases, and create automation they did. people responded to this new ability by creating all kinds of crazy database applications and analytics applications in Excel. It was kind of like the Wild West of development. Microsoft Access was a true rapid application development platform that was powerful, already integrated into people's environment and daily work, and a solid file-based database system. I still remember in the early 2000s when they were running all kinds of benchmark performance stats on Access databases and getting some really great results. More than 20 years later, and this database technology, however loved or maligned, can only be recognized as a mature, super stable technology with no replacement. Incredibly, after more than 2 decades, it basically has no competitors. I'm going to say it again because this is important. Microsoft Access is so good that it has no real competitors in the space that it occupies. This is why we still have Access and Visual Basic for applications floating around today, with many more being created as regular users find that recent replacement offerings are not quite there. And trust me, it seems like every high-tech company on the planet tried. There were many file database systems created, from FileMaker to FoxPro or even OpenOffice, who tried to completely recreate a user relational database management system like Microsoft Access. However, none gained any traction against the king of the file database systems. Most new product offerings, even from Microsoft, overlap with Access in some ways, but none do everything that you can do with Access. Either they are purely application creator focused, but don't do analytics, for example, Power Apps, or they have a purely analytical focus, Tableau or Power Query, Power BI, or they can do nice paginated reports like SSRS, but you can't build applications with them. This is the beauty of Access. While those products invariably are better at Access at the things that they do, they are not typically available to even power users in normal business settings. If users have a true need for a small data solution, Access will allow them to get there, and in the right hands will make an elegant solution. However, this is not the only benefit. Access has come to have a particularly important role in data engineering and analytics. And if you don't know it, you're going to be slower than the guy who knows it at completing certain tasks. You'll be missing an important tool from your toolbox. I have many anecdotes for this which can demonstrate why this is the case. For example, I had a situation that had a very large CSV file with millions of lines, and before the project could proceed, several analysts spent hours trying to do some preliminary quality assurance on the dataset in certain sections. Each time there was a new version of the file, they needed to load it into Power BI and or Tableau to check the data, a process that took a lot of time. I said, hey, why don't you try this? Then proceeded to get the answers in 5 minutes using linked tables and some simple Access queries. With Access, you can leverage a true relational database management system, a data engine, on data without moving or modifying the data. The source data, that is. Many times I shake my head as I watch teams struggle with pulling large data sets from databases in multiple CSV or Excel files, complaining about issues as they try to load them into this or that platform, whether it be SSIS, Power BI, Tableau, DataStage, or whatever. They did not know that, as a rule of thumb, you should try to never lose your data types and structure in the first place. Access is a portable file format that retains strict data types and structures, and on top of that, it is easily read by every target system worth its salt. Again, the result is time saved. It is all about time. There are many examples of where Access just does things better than other tools. It is a modern, stable, time-tested workhorse included in the latest of Microsoft Office suites that cannot be denied its place in any data engineer's toolkit. It has nothing to prove, and by ignoring this tool, you're setting yourself back as a data analyst or engineer. Now, keep in mind that I said a tool in your toolbox. Access is not going to be used for a lot of tasks or to replace specific tools like, say, Airflow for data pipelining or a real server-based relational database like SQL Server or Oracle for capturing and storing production data at scale. You also wouldn't create applications for hundreds or thousands of concurrent users or analyze terabytes of data with Access. It simply is not designed for those purposes. However, there are some areas where it simply cannot be beat. If you're looking to quickly access enterprise data and extract and evaluate data sets, Access with ODBC is hard to beat. On top of that, if you need to do ad hoc, custom, complicated data transformations, and you're skilled at VBA, piece of cake. If your task requires any form of Microsoft Office integration, you'll be light years ahead by preparing in Access. Because of VBA, you can develop a great user experience in Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, and other applications. What I see with the majority of junior or intermediate analysts and some seniors is that where they fall down 90% of the time is on nasty, small to intermediate sized tables or data sets. And to my horror, many of them start their wrangling in Excel where data or data types of half of their columns are altered or changed before they even start working. Or they just start coding in Python or .NET or whatever, where they need to program an entire script before they can even evaluate the data. Then they end up doing crazy slow merges and filtering of data frames when they could have used a relational database system which happens to be made for this purpose. I actually work in other languages quite a bit, including in Python and .NET environments. Often, how to wrangle data before loading for a particular purpose comes up, and most of these environments can match Access for general stuff. However, at the point where you need to leverage a relational database system but may not have access to a server, Access chews them up and spits them out. 5 or 10 files that need all kinds of crazy joins and sorted on 10 fields before getting an output, Access does that on the desktop. Sure, you can do that with Python with pandas, but for a one-time transformation, you're almost certainly faster in Access. On top of that, you can build full desktop applications in Access with all of the usual forms and controls you're used to. And you can build beautiful paginated reports with complicated groupings, graphs, and other features. You can deploy your solutions to multiple concurrent users on your local network with little hassle. Now, as I say this, I can hear all the IT support guys starting to growl. I feel your pain. However, don't direct it at this tool in the toolbox. And until there's a valid replacement for it, people will be drawn to it because of the empowerment that it provides. It truly can be a beacon of competitive advantage that allows everyday people to innovate and create competitive advantage for their endeavors. For those of you just starting out in data science and data engineering, make sure you learn how to handle and manage your portable data using tools that are made for the job. Learn about relational and big data database systems and how data works. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion about Microsoft Access, and if you have any comments about tools that work particularly well for you, I'd love to hear it in the comment section below. Or if you have a particularly interesting story about how you used Microsoft Access in your project, make sure to leave a comment. And if you like today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet, and make sure to click the bell when you see the bell so that you'll be notified of any new content that I put up. Have a great day, everybody.